you've been through this last 2 years. You've not seen your children for almost 3 years now, and like, how have you been? Like, what's keeping you going? I know you started Disqualified Dads. You've got a picture of your beautiful daughters on there. Is that your why?
Okay, let me try and articulate this the best way I can. So I find myself March the 16th, 2022. My relationship ends for various reasons, and I think a lot of relationships are ending because of this specific reason, cross-community and cultures, because as you know, I interview a lot of fathers, I speak to a lot of fathers, same old pattern, personality disorder, power, control, second generational trauma, all this sort of stuff. And there's an element of trying to just control, unfortunately, man, in a relationship. You have to toe the line, otherwise you're going to be miserable. It's as simple as. So for various reasons, my relationship came to an end. In my mind, I was thinking, whatever happens, once the dust settles, at least I will have my time with my children, interrupted, unsupervised. I can be myself with my kids. We can play and do stuff without this element of someone watching over you and indirectly controlling
1 hour
you.
limit. We got a contact center.
Yeah, it's more subtle than that, but you know when you're conditioned and you know in the back of your mind, oh, I better not do this because I'll get an ear bashing or she'll kick off. It's subconscious, it's planted. And this is what is real coercive control. This is used in the family court against men all the time, but I think more men, and I'll say it straight, I think more men are coercively controlled than women, period. Regardless of how much the feminists argue this. I think it's in men's nature, you know, simple, straightforward guys. Try and keep their family happy, they toe the line.
Peace.
Yes, for peace, as we mentioned before, for the sake of peace. Now, once I entered the system, again, like I said, 41 years nearly, am I 41? Yeah, nearly 41, right? Knowing what we know about family law, we knew the system was biased against men. We know this, right? But until you enter the system, you don't realize how biased and broken and disastrous it is. And when I entered the system, so the relationship ends, you're already dealing with the emotional trauma of that. Next thing you know, it is 9 out of 10 times, I think every man knows at some point that if this relationship ends, I'm not going to see the kids for a prolonged period of time until things settle. It's going to be up and down, yeah? So then next thing I know, I didn't see the kids from March the 23rd onwards. Was it 23rd? Yeah, March the 20th, 2022. Last time I saw 2 of my daughters. My son, I saw him March the 16th, 2022. So let me try and get this in chronological order. The relationship ends March 16, 2022. That day I spent with my son, who was 3 years old at the time. That evening, when I come back home, and you got to understand, you don't know what's happening, it's a serious thing. To give someone talaq is quite a serious, a heavy thing, unless you're a cold-hearted hustler, right? I don't know. It was a very emotional.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I was shaking when I was saying those words. It is very difficult, yeah.
Because you know, this is now irreconcilable. You can't reconcile, and it's heavy for the man. Yeah, and responsibility lies on the man, by the way, in Islam, to give talaq if the marriage is dissolved. So absolutely, men tremble. It's the biggest thing you could ever say in your life.
Look, I'm not going to play the big man. It was very difficult, and you got to understand, this decision wasn't taken lightly. We're talking 10 years. If anyone sort of might think, oh well, you deserve it. You ended it. You deserve it. This and that. Listen, 10 years I endured what I endured. Right? Yeah, I know what I endured. I know what I went through, and I would have carried on. But what people don't,
for the kids, right?
I would have carried on. For the kids, for the marriage, for the nikah, because I'm subconsciously, how can I put it? I'm conditioned to my upbringing and the generation I was brought up in, and marriage, nikah is seen, there's an element of conditioning that I have, like rightly or wrongly, and I would have fallen in line with, I did fall in line with that conditioning, hence I was in it for 10 years. Now, let's just go into why I ended it, yeah? Because there's always these questions. If I simplify it down to one word: disrespect. If you say to me, why did it come to an end, regardless of the personality disorders that we've discussed previously, regardless of power and control, if I narrow it down to one word, which you may not be able to articulate at the time when you did it. But if it comes down to it now, look back in hindsight, what was the disrespect?
Yeah, exactly.
And that disrespect, if you are not respected, as we've said, by the in-laws, by effectively your partner indirectly, that you can only overlook that for so long.
Exactly.